You had said some things early on about breaking down silos, cross-functional collaboration at the starting point of how you think about customer success. Maybe let's start there with our conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So before I address that point head on, I can give you a little bit of a background about how I had to figure that out, how I got there. So, in order for me to answer that question regarding cross-functional collaboration, I'm going to take you back in time with respect to my enterprise experience that got me there. This was back in 2013 when Edward Snowden happened. And that incident basically sent ripple effects across the industry where any organization that had a brand to protect and reputation to withhold decided to put together an insider threat program to monitor for any misuse of company assets and information by employees and contractors. I was in the midst of that whirlwind, and I happened to work with some of the largest organizations, including banks at Wall Street, largest airlines, manufacturers, where I worked hand in hand with the security departments to basically build and augment and roll out this program. And when you deal with insider threat, it requires you to work with all functions of the business because insider threat is a people problem. It's not a technology problem, which means you need to have buy-in from HR, you need to have buy-in from legal, you need to have buy-in from technology, you need to have buy-in from the various functional business units in order to make sure that when you have an incident, how do you actually go about triaging that? Because it touches all aspects of the business. I had to, in a very early age in my experience, figure out how to work cross-functionally to solve for that particular need. When you fast forward, when I was appointed VP of customer success at my previous company, which was a 100 million ARR company, we were, again, I found myself in a whirlwind where we had to improve our retention rates, we had to improve customer satisfaction, and I had to get to work quickly by aligning the synergies between various functional units to deliver outcomes. And the way I see this problem being solved is using the concept of cultural brokers. And this is something I have to give credit to the Harvard Business Review. I'm a council member there as well. They wrote up the strategy that I think leaders can use, which I adopted. And the concept is that cultural brokers are individuals within companies who can basically traverse cross-functionally with ease, with least amount of friction because of their innate skills and qualities and so on. To give you a particular example, when I had to make inroads with the sales organization, I actually went out there and I hired a VP of sales inside the customer success unit who was looking for a transition. And what that really did is that when I had to talk to 30 different VPs and senior directors of sales, we were a global unit. So we had sellers and leaders across the 5 different continents. And so this particular individual was able to break ice and make inroads with that unit much better because he was one of them. And he was able to speak their language, which I could have never done, or would have taken me years, which I didn't have that kind of time. I had to figure it out much sooner. And so that's a strategy that worked really well because in order for us to, again, implement change, which is working with sales to tell them, how do we go about doing account management? How do we improve our renewal process? How do we improve our upsell process? All those aspects require better collaboration. And what better way to do it by using somebody who understands the language, who speaks the language? So that's a great example that worked for me.